This is bullshit. It's bullshit. Okay, so Creecraft has said his own take on it. But look, I've dealt with some really horrible people in my life, and they come in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and looks, faces, sounds, and ways that they plan things. Matt Kaufman is like the type to be double faced. Like he will go, "Yeah, I totally believe you guys. You guys have a point. We listen to the Roblox community." And the same type to go around bolstering age verification, which explained. I've explained long ago on this channel. On July, on August, on June, on May, on December, on November, leading to January 2026 when they fully implemented global age verification. And Matt Kaufman doing that, yes, it's heavily unpopular thing, is not exactly adding up. Because not only did I find places and articles showing that they weren't exactly like forced to put age verification, there were no exact legislation forcing them to do so. And Matt Kaufman not only literally championed and bolstered age verification, you are a fucking hypocrite and a corporate douchebag. Look, Matt Kaufman is not evil. He's just really stingy. The man is stingy. Look at his experience at Crunchbase. Let me tell you, I got a whole lot of stories from the 2010s I can go ramble about, but we're in 2026 and nobody cares about what happened in 2017 seemingly. But let me remind you that this is the same man who's chief safety officer at Roblox, and he even boasted about it on his post on LinkedIn, which, by the way, where the fuck is everybody talking about this post on LinkedIn? Where are they? Not many YouTubers are doing it. As much as people think that I'm like that I like Creecraft or that I keep mentioning him in video, it's because he's some of the only largest creators out there, besides Flamingo, who actively reports the news on these things. Look, there's all of these things happening. The stock collapsing, this happening. They were not legally required by July 25 to do this, but he was bolstering about it when there was no legislation around so forcing them to do so. They could have said, hey, this is a bad idea, let's stop the US government from doing so. And this is when during like Donald Trump's tariff war with China and all these crazy other things, and the huge Chicago raids and all these protests that were going on, which I still vividly remember, along with Nepal's Gen Z revolution, was literally in the same summer of 2025, which is already nuts on its own. And when I look into these and I see Evan Bear saying that, oh, he acknowledges that it's widely unpopular, they're trying to save face, and I've seen this numerous times before. I am not a stupid, naive hypocrite who looks, oh, he finally changed his mind, guys. What a respect to a man. He finally missed the community that he changed his mind. I'm not saying that. I'm like, no, you are a double-faced, stingy-ass corporate douchebag. Matt Kaufman, I called him out numerous times before. I even did a reaction video on Schlepp's video when he was taken out, was called rendered a vigilante for literally capturing pedophiles, and predators, which was on my channel as well. I've even exposed predators and pedophiles on this channel. I exposed racists and douchebags and crypto mine billionaires and all these other horrible types of people that I could not list off the top of my hands. I can't count them all in my hands. It's like a lot to list down. And when I see Matt Kaufman, he's like, I can't even give him credit. I can't even put him on the pedestal of like worst people that are like existing in this world. He's just like so pathetic. Like his conduct about like literally bolstering about it in this entire article, which by the way, if you look into the keywords, when you go for keyword age, this very small article by CNBC, which is supposed to be a throwout article, right? A throwout article, which is supposedly yellow journalism, or maybe something that they just wrote down because they need views and clicks, right? Even this article has age mentioned 33 different times in the article. Just the word age itself. In July 2025, in relevance to like age verification. And I told him. And now we have here Evan Bear 1, which by the way, I thought he was interesting as a character back in 2017, back in 2018, and again, that shows my age because that's like over almost a decade ago. Now that I realize how far back that is quite way back in the day. Ignoring that, wow, okay, reality check, that's like almost a decade ago. But Evan Bear said this thing on the post. He said, "This may be an unpopular opinion, but I think Matt's response is A-class, and I'm glad he came out and said it transparently." Why didn't he say that in July 2025? Why was he bolstering him? On his LinkedIn, on the news, on reports, to his developers, and his chief safety officer. Why was he bolstering in 2025 saying that this was the greatest thing ever, and that we're going to pass it, and we're going to secure Roblox, and we're going to make it so safe that we will have a higher increase of predators whenever we put this update out. And then worse than all, so bad that now every country around the world and state are suing Roblox to fucking oblivion. You know, you should have thought so in July 2025 that this was a really bad idea. Because Americans especially are pissed when they can't access certain things, because they're really privileged white living creatures who like to access anything that they want and do anything that they want. And so putting this really highly unpopular law or rule in the game before it was even a law in the first place, which by the way was not enforced until late 2025 when they started to generally pass those age verification laws that forces companies to have to adhere to such laws. Because if they don't adhere to those laws, that company gets banned in that country. And if that company gets banned in that country, they lose a player base, they lose customers, they lose revenue, and it affects their stocks, and then investors will have to go to another country to do business at. Matt Kaufman, if he had a larger brain and used it long ago, he would have said, let's not support age verification, and let's reverse lobby against Meta, who lobbied for age verification, which was leaked and exposed, a few weeks ago. He didn't do so, and we're here. So now that I'm finally back, my spirits come back. I just dealt with some really horrible people just yesterday, but dealt with them. Had a meeting with QuitGPT. By the way, quitgpt.org. You can join it down, link in the description below, just like the Discord server. By the way, the Discord server, not a single soul in there, and I say this jokingly, talks about video games in that Discord server anymore. Like, literally, my Discord server just became a bunch of nerds talking about nerdy stuff now. And I think I'd rather have a bunch of nerds talking about how much they want to make a difference in this world than a bunch of dumbasses talking about how good their TikTok status is. So, we're here together with this, and the channel's been rolling out pretty fine. The thing is that I want to do way more than this, because I am trying to get in contact with certain coalitions, because I happen to still be the captain of the QuitGPT movement, which is, by the way, 4 million people in Stronghold. And in case people still think 4 million people is nothing, why don't they do it themselves and see how long they last? Exactly. So we're going to get No King's Coalition May Day to happen. May Day is on May 1st for workers, Labor's Day, basically a Labor Day for workers specifically, and it's going to be a protest around the entire country, so that's being organized. Anyhow, and then Evan Bear saying this is like extremely naive. Evan Bear, so y'all know, is way older than me. He should have seen this coming. Why are you being naive and saying that, oh, Matt Kaufman is finally admitting? Stop. You're incentivizing it to get worse. Anyhow, if you're going, why can't you read it out to us? You should read this yourself, because if you look at the Roblox stocks, look, you gotta check this out. Does this look like they're performing better? No, it seems their stock is collapsing really badly. This is 1 year, by the way. Look into their 5-year performance. That doesn't look like a company who's performing really well. And even crazier, when you look into the data, because I actually look into data rather than using gut punchlines to make myself look smarter for and threatening people for having a different opinion by using my fists. I actually take the data and go around and look at it, and Roblox is not profitable. They're not profitable. They're actually losing money. And what saddens me is that Roblox has done absolutely nothing to adhere to their players. As much as they say that he thinks that age verification is unpopular and finally admits it now, they know their company is in a really bad spot, which is why they're rolling out these updates saying that they're charging for everything. They need to maintain this very large player base, which I understand is a large player base. When he says those things, I'm like, okay, I understand that with having a bigger platform, there is many more like expectations that must be followed in order to make the game sustainable or acceptable by larger audiences. That's something that is certainly taken into account. But Matt Kaufman clearly had a miscalculation, like maybe 17 different miscalculations, which I've listed on this channel for over a year. Over a year. I point out the miscalculations. If he truly cared about the community, he wouldn't have put himself in this chokehold, along with David Baszucki. David Baszucki, look, dude, where are you? What is going inside your head? Your company, it has a few choices left to do if they want to get respect from their player base again. Because I'm hitting my 10th anniversary this May, June. By the way, real closely, I'm gonna turn 21 before I hit my 10th anniversary, which is crazy, right? They have a few choices. They either reverse lobby these laws, fix their relations with their players, finally allow YouTubers to help them with capturing predators for once, like a direct line saying, hey, we have all this list of horrible people, work together with us, stop calling us vigilantes and work with them. Reverse lobby age verification, say age verification is a damage to businesses, that is really bad for the economy, it's bad for this, right? You want an expressive platform, commit to making a fucking expressive platform, right? That's the purpose of it. Age verification is a suppression of expression, right? Clear as day. Or they roll down their company and turn it into a paywall, right? Everything a paywall. Disrespect the community further. Make double-faced statements for the next 6 months, which, by the way, it always happens. It's like a 6-month duration of cope mechanism before they do something great. And they roll down their company so terribly into the ground that it goes back to like where it was back in 2022 or 2025. Because look, their stocks right here in 2023, 2024, around like let's say early 2023 and around middle 2024, their company is returning back to where they were back in 2023, right? It's heading that direction because like, it's still up there. It's still as successful as it was around the start of 2025. I'm not gonna disagree, their company is still profitable, vaguely. But then if this keeps going and they continue to disrespect their player base the way that they're doing, their company is going to be drifting to like, burning. It's going to burn alive, right? You're going to watch it slowly die, right? And I've seen this happen with numerous huge gaming franchises that I've studied for the past decade, right? I've looked into all of this as I grew up and as I learned from like numerous experiences from different industry creators out there who develop games themselves, right? Who develop these games, and they literally journal in what happens with the industry. It's just not doing well. Well, all their conduct horrible. They can fix it. They can fix it. There are clear ways to fix it. We don't have to destroy Roblox to do so. We don't have to. But they continue to like grovel over to investors, which lots of huge companies do. They literally like say, oh, what does the investor want? Let's just ignore the 5,000 people saying that it's a horrible idea with facts and information, and let's listen to this investor who's like I love Donald Trump, and then let's take advice from this guy here who's a dumbass and pass the most shittiest law possible. So rather than listening to the dumbass on the street who has a suit and tie with brown hair, who looks like he has blue eyes, and a handsome person who's like possibly an influencer, let's listen to the 5,000 people who have brought numerous points, statements, facts, and cases down onto the table, who said, hey, if you want your company to run better, we can do this and help efficiency. Rather than fighting each other, we can have efficiency. You didn't do that. Nobody took their advice. Roblox didn't listen. Dave Baszucki sucked up just a little, and then suddenly he was like, nah, you know what, let's screw him over, we don't care anymore. Matt Kaufman said, yeah, we kind of regret it, and you regret it too late, but I remember you used to bolster about it and said that it's the best idea ever, which every CEO does before they regret it. Funny enough, I can reference Microsoft CEO, which, by the way, said that Copilot is the best thing ever, and then regretted it later after people kept on calling it Microslop for like the past few months, and then they actually lost, money from that backlash for like they literally shoved into people's face and said, you should buy this, you should use this product, and they realized that's a bad idea because people are so sick and tired of AI, right? AI slop and AI slop services. And here we are with Roblox, who can't even respect their players for like one update. For like every update that they pass, you are getting more negative like outcomes rather than positive outcomes. And so I hope they learn from that. Anyhow, please stay safe out there. This is Projecttian here. I've been at this for 8 years, and we're trying to reach the 10K subscriber goal. As always, my music is on Bandcamp and on Spotify. You can check out my music, the Projecttian on Spotify and the Projecttian on Bandcamp. And with that, have a nice day, and I hope I gave you something of knowledge, because Matt Kaufman is not clearly consistent about his points, and even if he made such mistake, he was certainly confident about such mistake before even proper legislation was passed forcing verification, which, by the way, did not happen in July 2025. And he was again, Roblox and Dave Bazuki and Matt Kaufman were some of the very earliest supporters of, and now are finally taking it back. So, yeah.